Hey guys, welcome back to Unqualified, the podcast. And if this is your first time listening, hello, I'm Hadassah. I've got my two other co-hosts right here. We've got Shaya in front of me to the left, and Dayana, right here to the right, and our wonderful producer in the back.
Hello.
Come on. All right. So today's topic is so exciting because we're talking about weird movies. And let's just clear up what we mean by weird first before anyone gets mad and angry at us. One definition Day gave for our weird category is that after you watched it, you were like, what did I just watch? Mm-hmm. And not in a bad way. Some of them are in a bad way, but it could just be a movie that's just different from the norm. It's a little unique. It doesn't follow a standard film narrative.
Experimental is also a term that
experimental.
people use.
And some of them aren't even experimental. Some of them are just just have some random unique elements.
Of course,
Yeah. So these are just ones that stood out to us. We could probably talk about this for hours and hours, but we made a short list, sort of. So we're going to just talk about that. Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking hours and hours. I heard it.
So where do we want to begin? Should we talk about the good ones first?
Do we want to talk about the one we all saw first that kind of inspired this episode?
Okay, I'll let y'all.
We have to start it out on the greatest, biggest, amazing note ever.
The best film of 2022.
Miss Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is one of Shaya's favorite films ever, as you've probably heard if you've listened to our other episodes.
Yelling at
I've been yelling at them for months since it came out in March. I think I saw it in March or April, something like that. I've been everyone has to go see this movie as soon as they possibly
I've been wanting
can.
to watch it since it came out, but I didn't get a chance until 2 weekends ago, and it completely lived up to the hype. I don't even know what I was expecting.
Yeah,
but
it's so. I'm trying to give a synopsis of the movie.
Yeah,
but it's hard because there's a lot.
Okay, and also spoiler warning for
spoilers,
every movie we're talking about.
Yeah, for every movie, spoiler warning.
Because we have
we'll
to explain
we'll try to say
why
the topic
weird.
first, or the title first,
first
and then you can skip over if you need to.
Yes. So Everything Everywhere All at Once is about a family, a Chinese American family. They run a laundromat in, I don't know where they're at actually. They were.
Did they say it?
I don't think they say.
I don't think they say.
Ooh, I feel like they.
I don't think
it's in California, isn't it?
That that sounds kind of right. We'll say it's in California. We'll say that.
Who knows?
Yes, they run a laundromat, and the mother, Evelyn, she's stressed. She's going through a lot. There's a lot of things happening in her brain. Her husband wants to divorce her. Her daughter doesn't really like her. Her dad is disappointed and dying. There's just a lot going on in her life, and she's being audited. They're trying to take away her laundromat. Just everything is going wrong. So as she is at the IRS, she is visited by who she thinks is her husband. There's kind of a moment where he something weird happens and he starts moving around and doing ninja chops and all that stuff. And she's like, hey, do this, and you'll be transported to another universe. So this movie is essentially dealing with the multiverse, but in a way that I don't think we've seen before.
Yeah, and the thing about this film is that you have to, if you're someone who doesn't like to think watching movies.
Yeah, this is not for you.
This either is not for you, or you have to put in the work. You have to give it a chance. Because it got to the halfway point, and I still was confused.
Yeah. I was confused up until the third watch.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
because I was the problem I was having the first time. Well, I've only watched it once, but during the first half was that I was trying to make sense of it, and you cannot make sense of it.
You kind of just gotta let it happen.
You have to just let it happen, because if you're trying to say okay, what's actually happening? Is she imagining this? Is this actually happening? Which universe? Whatever. Don't think about that. You just have to watch it.
And a lot of the explanations, for me, when they try to explain how the multiverse works and how she's able to jump into these different versions of herself, it doesn't super matter. It's one of those things where okay, I know in my brain she does a weird thing. She's able to go to another universe. I don't need to understand how or why or what the mechanics are.
That's not the point. This is not the film that is that is trying to explain how we could travel. No,
that's
that
not
is
the point.
not.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the point.
Oh, because when I tell you, I cried like a little baby.
Because me and Day were talking, and she watched this and was like, I feel like there's something I didn't get.
I I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Now, did I get to the third part and was like, okay, I've been watching this for like 2 hours now.
It is very long, and it is set in parts. And then what it was like, once I got halfway, I was like, oh, there's another part still coming.
Yeah, but part 3 is like
part 1 was long.
Part one was long.
Yeah.
It hit part 2, and I was like, dang, I
favorite.
kind of forgot because you had said that at one point. You were like, it's split up in 3 parts. And it's everywhere, everything, and then all at once.
All at once.
And I was like, when that gonna happen? Like I was just sitting there watching. I was like, all these things Shia was telling me. I was like, I don't get it.
I think the coolest thing is that like you don't like have to get it, and then you can kind of like gain your own interpretation a little bit, because like when I watched it, I really drew on the fact that like, you know how life can feel very, this sounds kind of sad, but sometimes life can feel very repetitive and like not meaningless, but like
no, like
you're
monotonous,
just like very static.
Yeah.
And the things that actually matter are like some of the little like smallest things.
That's to me the biggest takeaway from this movie is that, you know, and people say it a lot of like, oh, we're just a tiny little speck on a big old rock floating in the middle of space.
The rock scene,
like that's so good.
I cried. I literally cried.
But like, there's a lot of that. Like, what does anything that we do matter? What's the point? Like, what's the point of putting in effort to the things that we do? And I think this movie, because it's not even dealing with the fact that we're little in this universe, we're little in
every universe,
infinite universes.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many possibilities that could happen, but there's still reason to love the people in your life and to cherish the people in your life and to have like the people that you surround yourself with and the people that you love and the things that you love. That's what makes it all worth it at the end of the day. Like, it's not about your job or your accolades or whatever. It's about like what you make of it. And like my favorite line of the movie is at the end, like after Joy and Evelyn make up on that stuff, and she's just like, we can do whatever we want. Nothing matters. And like that full circle moment where it's like the nothing matters as like a way of being like, who cares, to nothing matters to like, who cares, we can do whatever we want. So like there's joy in that. There's joy in
and there's
being able to do whatever.
It's so crazy because there's almost like peace in the sense that like, even though she at like towards the end sees like literally every single possibility that ever could have happened in her life, and it's like almost overwhelming, you know, but there's also peace in knowing that like no matter what, in any universe, in any timeline, whatever would have happened, like she'd be okay because she still had like the people that she loves. And like, I don't know, it's
fantastic.
So
and I love like, especially in that like third act, this is the biggest thing that makes it a weird movie, is like there's so many bizarre
hot
things.
Hot dog fingers,
Raccacoonie,
the bagel,
the rocks, the bagel, like all of that is bizarre. Like I've never seen stuff like that on the screen, but they found a way to take like these mostly comedic beats and wrap it around into this like emotional moment where it's like throughout these different universes, it doesn't matter if your best friend is a raccoon,
if you're a pinata,
or you have hot dogs for fingers. Like there's always something to love, and it's just so
good.
So great.
It is like top tier weird but amazing movies. Yes. And I even talked, like after I watched it, I talked to my dad about it, and we were like, it's almost like more impactful, like the emotional parts of it, because it's so crazy and strange, you know? Like if it would have been just straightforward, like a family who's going through it and like getting together, like
it's like, okay,
it wouldn't have been, you know?
Because it feels like by the end of it, you've been on a journey with this family. Like you've been through a lot. So the emotional connection I think that you have to these characters is stronger because there's so much happening and you know, you're going through it with them. Yeah. Love this movie.
I mean, stereotypical because everyone loves this line, but when he said that, like, in another life, I would have been fine just
in another life.
Taxes.
Don't do it.
What is
taxes and laundry?
Taxes and laundry.
Something like that. I can't remember the exact line. It's in Chinese.
If someone said that to me, I would cry
insane.
Forever.
That's like that amount of just
that love
to have for a person is.
And that montage of him doing like the most mundane
I could cry right now. I could cry right now.
Just like.
Dave's looking a little like she's like ew.
I love the connection that y'all have with this movie. It's kind of fun to watch. It really
I think you need to watch it again. And
I don't think
you have to watch it with me.
Yes,
so I can be like,
we should all watch it together.
Look.
And this is the thing: don't make sense of it. Like if anyone is thinking of watching this, don't try to make sense of it.
It hit the second act, and I was like, yeah, maybe that's the point of this movie is to not make sense. But then it didn't make, like, it made more or less sense. Yeah. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, was sitting there confused.
And I can see how, because, like, this movie mostly has been praised and stuff like that. But there are people who have issues with it. And, like, I watched it with my grandma once, and she was just like, they did all that to say this simple message of love each other. And I'm like,
I mean,
yes,
but
also, like, it is a simple message, like, but they were able to use, like, that's my favorite thing about filmmaking, is, like, you can take these simple messages and maybe these basic storylines and elevate them through the language of cinema and, like, make them something different, where it's not just about getting the message or getting the point, it's about watching the movie and having a good time with it, I think.
Yeah, and the journey. To get
about
there.
The destination, it's about the journey.
Yeah, I just love it. I will say that I could see why people don't like it.
I could see why people could have trouble with it, yeah.
One of my main complaints was that I felt like there was too many fight sequences.
Really?
Like, towards the middle, it just felt like it was just too much.
Yeah. I personally love the fight choreo, so that was
it's great.
Me, but
it's great.
I can see
it's so well done, but it did kind of...
Michelle Yeoh for Best Actress at the Oscar. Like, who else are they going to give it to?
We'll have an Oscars episode. We have to.
No.
But yeah, anyway, so we love the film.
Come on, do you have any thoughts about Everything Everywhere All at Once?
The movie is kind of dope.
Thank you.
Official review.
That's a great summary.
Yes, it's kind of dope.
Movie's kind of dope.
It's kind of dope. All right. Who wants to pick from their list first?
I actually want you to explain something for me. So I want you to go. Why is Shrek 2 on your list?
Okay.
Shrek 2, y'all.
Shrek 2 is on Shia's list for a weird movie.
There's no spoilers.
I mean,
this movie came out a while ago. So.
If you're looking to not have Shrek 2 spoiled, I don't know what to tell you. I think when I think about animation, and I think about children's animation specifically, Shrek 2, to me...
Wait, is this the one that won an Oscar? Or that was the first one.
That was the first one.
Shrek 2 kind of changed the game, I think,
really
for children's
did.
animation fully.
It did. That was so good.
Because children's animation, it's weird. A lot of the times, they're doing some strange things in them cartoons.
Yeah.
And I think that really started with Shrek 2. I have to look up, like, specific plot points, but I just remember watching that movie, and it was like, I was like, this is uncomfortable. Like, I was
in the best way,
but in the good way.
Like,
it made me unsettled, but, like, in a way that was interesting. That kept me, like, captivated.
It's so memorable.
Like, the way they animated certain things, I think, was a little... It was weird. Like, I was like, I don't know if I like that or not. But I have to remember specific plot points.
Is the fairy godmother...
Now, you could say the plot. That is true. There is a little bit of weird moments in the plot.
Yeah.
Okay, clarification. Is Shrek 2 the one where the fairy godmother goes through the drive-thru and gets that burrito?
Yes.
For some reason, that scene
remember
has
that?
stuck with me for so long, and I don't know why. Something about her getting, like, a burrito in this, like, fairy tale world.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
The relation. She's such an icon. Like, holes.
I have always wanted to go to that drive-thru.
Honestly, that burrito looks so good.
Everything they got from there, like the toy and being a giant.
Right. Something about it.
I've never wanted to go to a restaurant more.
Like, I just remembered there's a moment where the gingerbread man is all of a sudden, like, 80 feet tall and in a wig and, like, going through it. And I'm like, what is happening?
Because they had to. So when the princess is, like, over there, she thinks Prince Charming is Shrek or whatever. They're like, how are we going to break into the castle? And then he looks at the short gingerbread man and he was like, do you still know the Muffin Man? And he's like, of course I know the Muffin Man. And they go over there and they were like, we need a big one. And then, like, you just see everybody running across the street or whatever.
I love it so much.
Gingerbread man.
He's so cute. He's so cute. Like, when he falls in the water.
Oh my God, that fight scene with him in the castle, it was so
I just think that Shrek 2 is, like,
iconic.
Because we
really
like,
is.
Mixed with the animation and the plot and everything going on makes it such a memorable movie in our minds because they're taking big swings in this movie that's meant for kids.
A lot of elements.
Yeah, and I think it worked for the most part.
It definitely worked.
Do y'all remember that scene with, like, the police brutality? Do y'all remember that?
In Shrek 2?
Yes, they were like when Donkey got changed into a horse and The cat was still the cat.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and Shrek was a human or whatever, and they were arresting them because like the fairy godmother sent them or whatever. There was like camera, it was like a camera like shot or whatever, and they was beating them up, and they were like,
no, not police
and wasn't
brutality.
Ducky-
Shrek.
and wasn't Ducky the one who was like police brutality, the black one?
Yes,
Was he like that?
yes. But like they use pepper, like an actual pepper turner, and like throw it in their face.
Oh my.
And then they find catnip on Puss in
They
Boots.
No, see,
that
this
they
is the thing.
planted.
They were using like real world
No,
elements
were.
in this
No,
movie.
for real. I have
Changing the
I
do
game.
not
loved
remember
it.
that scene.
I don't
all.
either.
The
But now I
potion
have to
scene,
rewatch Shrek
the
too.
potion scene.
Oh, the potion scene is
when they were
iconic.
locked up with that Mission Impossible scene with the cat, and he goes, "The house justice to the crate." He falls
Has
all the
any
way
of you
down.
seen the new Puss in Boots?
Mm-mm.
that
I
just
wanna
came
see it
out? I want to
so bad.
see it. Apparently, it's really good.
I
They
heard
say it's really
Didn't he
good.
get nominated for an
I think,
Oscar?
yeah, I think
Yeah.
for best
So,
animated
yeah.
picture.
Yeah, it's
So-
probably gonna win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Anyways, Shrek 2 is
Shrek
great.
too, yeah, that's
It's
why
an
it's on my
amazing-
list.
One of my
Okay.
favorite. I
It's
just love
iconic.
that they use like all the like fairy tale like
Yeah.
Yeah.
elements
And they
the,
make
like
it
nursery
strange.
rhymes. Yeah.
They make it
It's
strange.
so
That's
good.
strange.
I
Oh
love
my
I love Shrek.
gosh. That's true.
Let's just continue with Shia's list.
Okay.
Because I've seen a few of the ones that she's mentioned. So let's talk about Midsommar.
Midsommar. I told Hadassah it's the best movie I will never watch again.
Yeah,
I
this is
will
one of those
never
where
in my
I
life
wish
watch
I
it
could
again.
scrub my eyeballs out.
Yeah.
Is that
after
with
watching
Florence
Yes.
Yes.
and the flowers
Yes.
and everything?
Now-
I only see a little
Again,
bit of
From
it.
the-
spoilers.
Oh
Spoilers.
yeah,
Spoilers,
definitely.
sorry.
We're about to spoil the mess out of this.
Mhm.
But like cinematically, like film wise, so beautiful.
Mhm.
The shots,
Gorgeous.
the colors, the set
It is real
design,
pretty.
incredible.
I think
Story wise,
insane.
disturbed.
I think what I love the most about Midsommar, and when talking about like the cinematography of it, is it's so brightly lit. Like everything in that movie is so bright and colorful,
crazy
and
'cause
which
the
is such a
story-
contrast to what's
such a
going
con-
on in
but
the
it works.
story. But it works.
It works.
Because it's unsettling. I'm like, ooh, it's daylight, and yeah, I'm terrified for my life. Truly, yeah. Midsommar essentially is about this girl Dani. Her parents
That's her
dead.
name?
I think
I did
so.
not know that.
I'm pretty sure.
Florence.
Florence Pugh. Her parents dead. Her sister maybe dead. I don't remember. And she goes with her kind of toxic boyfriend to Sweden to this commune because they're doing it for like their college paper or whatever. And they think it's fine and cute and nice, and then all of a sudden people start dying, and we're like
Very graphically.
very graphically.
I
okay.
cannot unsee it.
Yes. And I think the biggest thing that left me like shooketh about this movie is the ending, because
That's what I saw. I literally
Her
only
face.
seen the ending.
Yeah.
With her,
I would
like,
never get her like face
Yes.
out of like her
because
look at
like
the end.
throughout the movie, because she's been through so much trauma and like she doesn't really like any of the people in her life, she's very susceptible to like the cult's influence, so she kind of becomes
Kills
like
her
a part
boyfriend.
of it. Yeah. And so she kills her boyfriend in a bear suit. Literally, they
light
put
him on
him-
fire.
put him in a bear suit, put him in like this log cabin, and light it on fire. And
Yep.
she's just sitting there watching like,
Watching it burn.
that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Wild. They force him. There's like some sexual assault going on. They
Oh,
force him
dear.
to like
It's pretty
impregnate one
bad.
of the
It's
people.
pretty bad.
There's a part where like this girl tries to like do like a love potion on him by putting her pubes and period blood in his drink and like getting her to fall in love with him. There's a lot of
Weird.
weird stuff
Weird.
happening, and it's a great movie that just leaves you like the whole time I was like, ew, I'm actually disgusted, and I will never watch this
Yeah.
again, but it's very good.
I mean,
Okay.
they did what they needed to do because we're still talking about this
Yeah.
years later. But I will say, after I watched it, I was like, I shouldn't have watched that.
It's done by the same director of Hereditary, which I have not seen, but
haven't
I've
seen
heard
either.
is
Wild.
Yeah.
a lot. Have you
Well,
seen Hereditary?
I've seen the most of it, and then I got to one part. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's what I should have said
can't.
during Midsummer.
I think that man needs to be locked up personally.
A lot
Because
of
why?
these-
Like, what's
why are
going on
these
up
the
there?
movies that you are making?
Sir, what's going on?
Oh my
I'm a
I'm
gosh.
a little scared.
I'm frightened for my life. Yes. So Midsommar is definitely a movie that left me at the end being like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Is it pronounced Midsommar?
Midsommar, yeah,
Oh,
because
it
it's like a
is.
Swedish thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's like
it's
a,
like a real
festival,
thing,
yeah.
but I don't
It's not
think it
that.
says no.
So if I say
just for the
Midsummer,
record.
I'm wrong.
Yeah, don't say
Yes.
Midsummer. That's what I used to say until I found out it was
Midsommar.
I don't
Yeah.
like that. But okay.
Well, blame the Swedes. I don't know what to tell you.
For
Moving
the
on.
record, I do not blame them.
Moving on. Next on Shaya's list is the incredible, amazing Truman Show.
I love the Truman Show. I forgot my own list. I love the Truman
It's
Show.
okay, I got it. I got both of
it.
y'all.
I was about to say, we got it.
Yes, the Truman Show. Again, if you haven't seen these movies, what's wrong
Please
with
go
you?
watch the Truman Show.
them.
Do not listen to spoilers. Go watch it right
I
now.
watched the Truman Show for the first time in high school in my.
You haven't seen it.
Wait, I might be lying.
You've seen it's the one
Jim
about
Carrey.
Jim Carrey, and he's in kind of a simulation where he thinks his life is real, but the whole
It's
time
actually a
it was
TV
a TV
show.
show.
Nope.
This movie is incredible for many reasons, but it is weird.
It is weird, yeah. I think it's one of the first movies I've ever seen with like that I remember seeing with like a big plot twist at the end where you think like, oh, little strange. It's what I wanted Don't Worry, Darling to be. It's like little strange things keep happening until the end, and you figure out, oh, there's this bigger force behind it. So it's like weird in that way of like big plot twists that kind of
Yeah.
change.
Also,
the
we're
whole
kind of
trajectory
following-
of the movie.
We're figuring it out with the character.
Yeah,
Which I love, because sometimes I do like the, what is it, dramatic irony, like where
Mhm.
we know, but like the
the
character
character
doesn't know.
yeah.
But sometimes it gets kind of old, because I'm like, you
I-
should know.
No,
you
yeah,
know?
I like the mystery of
Yeah.
like where the whole time we're like, what's because it starts out the movie's completely normal. He's
It's
a
like,
normal
oh,
dude. He's
cute
like,
little life.
and if I don't see you, good morning, good night, or whatever he says, and all that stuff. And it's completely cute little
So
things.
sweet.
But I'm suspicious the whole time because I'm like, what's really going on? Like, there's
What's
no
going
way
on?
your life is this seemingly perfect.
Mm.
And the fact that it was a TV show too is really interesting. And I haven't seen this movie in a while, so I don't remember exactly like the why behind it. But I do.
He
think
was
it's-
in there his whole life.
Yeah, his whole life.
Yeah.
Like he fully was
Ah.
convinced that this was his real life.
Yeah, because it was like they wanted to create this TV show around like someone's life. Like, what would it be like if
Oh,
we watched their entire life?
wow.
Mhm.
And so he's like born like on the TV show. Like everyone like saw him grow
Yikes.
up
Yeah.
and like live,
Ew.
but he doesn't know, which is so terrible.
Yeah, it's very sad actually.
Especially
it's a sad movie.
When he like finally like gets into that boat and like drives to basically the end of his like world, or not drives, has the rows to the end of the, and then like he realizes that the sky, like I love that shot where he like walks up the steps and the sky is literally just like
It's
wall,
fine,
'cause
yeah.
it's just
It's
set,
like
and
your
like he
LED
opens
wall.
the door and he's like, well.
Well,
Well,
no, I love
well.
movies that like kind of critique the money hungry nature of Hollywood and like
Yeah.
how far are you willing to go to like for a project and stuff like that. And Nope kind of deals with similar themes, but I think it's very much like they use this man. They kind of ruined his whole life all for the
Yeah.
sake of creating
entertainment.
entertainment. Yeah,
And people ate it up.
And hum num 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 num.
People ate it up. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
so I
is
love
so
the Truman
good.
Show.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love the Truman Show. Okay. Next on your list, we have Labyrinth. This is a
Labyrinth.
movie, the 80s one, correct?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. It's 80s
With
David
David
Bowie.
Bowie.
Yes,
David
this
Bowie,
movie
yes.
scarred me as a child. Truly.
Honestly, kinda.
Mm-hmm.
But
I've
like in
only
a good
seen
way.
Bits and pieces of it. The main thing I remember is the set design.
Yeah,
Yeah.
set
Really
design is
cool set
crazy.
design.
Yeah, her baby brother
Yeah.
gets stolen, and she's like, "Damn, I gotta go get him." So
I like how that's immediately what she jumped to. Like, don't even let me call my parents. Like,
where
he's
are her
gone?
parents?
they're on like a date night or something. They're like
Where are
out.
all the parents in the 80s movies?
That's what I was
They
saying.
gone.
don't know. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's always one of the
These kids
plot
always just
points.
be out
Yeah.
there saving the world.
And I think the main reason I put this movie on this list, and I could be wrong, because again, it's been a minute since I've seen it, but doesn't David Bowie like try to marry her in the end of it
Ew,
or something like
I don't
that?
remember that.
I don't remember.
I don't remember
that
what. I
part.
literally don't remember the plot.
I just remember the ending had some weird stuff. Like she had to trade something to get her brother back.
That's true.
But for some reason in my
Wait.
head,
Wait,
I
are
feel
you-
like she.
You're not talking about Pan's Labyrinth, are you?
No. This
Okay.
is the one with David Bowie.
Right.
Yeah.
She does
Wait.
have to trade something in for her brother. Like she goes
Yeah.
through all those quests or whatever, picking all the stuff up so she can get her brother back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now
I
I
had the
don't
weird
remember
puppets
the
and
ma-
stuff.
Yeah, the married
Yeah.
part.
What are the reasons why we think this movie is weird?
I think
That's it?
that's a big reason. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure like she was trying to marry that man. I don't know. Someone fact check me. But the main reason you kind of talked about like the set design is so striking and jarring. Like I remember that scene with like the stairs going all the different ways, and it's so crazy. I think visually that movie is very weird. Yes,
Yeah.
very different. Also, like, why are you stealing babies? Like,
That's so
Kinda.
low.
That's
I don't
kind of.
remember what the
You can still not know.
why.
I should have rewatched this movie before.
Yeah,
But
I haven't watched it.
it's been a minute. I just
I think I watched the
remember
full thing. Only bits
like
and pieces.
David Bowie's performance specifically was also very.
It was kind of
very-
weird.
Yeah, very weird. He
But
was, he's a little creepy.
yeah, I don't know if that was the character was supposed to be that way either, though. Like, even then, the character is also kind of creepy too.
Yeah.
I had to watch this movie in art class in
Really?
middle school. So
In middle school.
let that say whatever it says for you.
Very artistic film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of. So
Yeah, no, they get married at the end.
they
Mhm.
do. Well, hold
How
on.
old is
Okay,
she?
so I
She's
do remember
16?
this scene. Look it up. I don't think they get married, but they definitely are at like a ceremony. She is.
I remember the ceremony.
They're
I
dancing.
do remember the
They're
ceremony.
dancing.
Did I just think it was a
You
wedding?
might
'Cause
have.
I'm-
They were at like a ceremony, and she danced with him, and she was wearing that white dress. Now that might have
I
been a
remember that.
symbol for something,
Yeah.
but I don't think they actually get married.
hope
Because
not.
even then, at the end, he's like, he asked her a question, and she's like, she can't answer or something, and then she ends up leaving him.
What happens? Does
I know one of the questions ain't, do they get married?
Do they get married? Please comment down below.
the Goblin King does truly love Sarah? I'm confused.
Hold
People
on,
comment
That's
down
his
below.
name, the Goblin King?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. People comment down below what was happening at the end of Labyrinth.
What was happening in Labyrinth?
Yeah, that's why it's a weird movie because I've watched it and I could not. What's
Like,
happening?
What's going
What's
on?
happening? What's going on?
What's happening?
What's going on? Okay, we can go to the next one while
Yeah.
you're looking.
Okay,
that up.
so another on your list is The Room, which I have not seen.
good. That's a good thing. It's with
It truly is.
It's with Tommy Wiseau. It's his. I think he directed it too, right? Like it's his whole. He wrote and directed it. It's his whole thing. I could not tell you what this movie is about. To be perfectly honest with you, honestly,
It's based off of a book. I do know that.
Is it?
Right? I think it is. I'm pretty
know.
sure.
I think that came directly from Tommy Wiseau's
thought it
brain.
was
Yeah,
based
I
off
think
of
that's
a
just a Tommy Wiseau like fever dream.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I think it came
gosh.
directly.
Sound
There's
Are you
another
sure?
movie called Room with Brie Larson.
Oh, that's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
That's what I'm
No,
talking
Wait,
about.
Isn't Room based off a real life story?
Yeah, but it was a
Based
book.
off of,
Oh,
based
yeah.
on a real life story. Based on. A
Okay,
book.
my bad. My
No,
bad.
you're good.
Room.
Yes,
That's what-
that's
okay.
straight from his brain.
Okay, I
and-
don't actually. I'm getting them confused
You're
now. I don't know what The
stupid.
Room is.
Oh, thank God! Literally, we're telling you
Yes.
like.
Do you know? I did not hit her. Hi, Mark. Like lines like that are very.
It's a trip.
It's a.
What happens?
Who knows?
I-
Honestly,
no one
like
knows.
I truly
literally-
cannot tell you what is going on in this movie. I think he was just like, I want to film this, and like someone edited it and put it on the screen, and that's what happened. This is
Oh
not
my
to call this a movie.
gosh.
I think is generous. It's more like a super long like Jake Paul YouTube video. Like it is.
it feels very random. It does.
Mhm.
Okay.
But like in the not good kind of way. And I'm not saying it's bad. What I'm saying is
It's
it's
bad.
very jarring. It's
I don't think
jarring.
it's a
Okay, I have not seen it.
I
and
wouldn't
now I don't know
recommend
if I
it.
will.
Yeah, no.
I don't recommend this
Okay.
movie to anyone, but I think it is one of the more iconic like what the shit is going on
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of movies.
Okay.
That along with like movies like Cats and stuff, I think people watch it because it is jarringly bad.
Have you seen The Disaster Artist?
I have not, no, but
Still
I've heard
haven't
of
seen
it.
that.
Yeah, because that's just the movie about The Room being made.
Really, I haven't watched that.
Oh.
That's why it's called The Disaster Artist.
They know they're wrong
Yeah.
for that.
But they're not. They're not.
Honestly, like sometimes you just gotta call it what it is. I remember watching that movie and being like, and I got to the end. Now I was confused at the end of Everything Everywhere All at Once, but at the end of The Room, I was like, I mean, I literally just.
I
went to
truly
sleep.
don't think
You
The
know,
Room had a
those
script.
movies that
like, I
like
think they were just
Honestly,
going off.
I think
the
they were
cuff.
like, hey, just say whatever you want to say as long as it fit. Like we do not care.
those movies that leave you like you're sitting in silence after it, and,
Like-
and not in a good way. You're just
I'm
like,
like, let me go eat something and go to bed. I'm
Literally,
I'm
like
that
movies that makes me
happened.
tired. I'm like,
I
ooh, I
know,
need to
that
I
wore
need to
me
go.
out.
I need to go.
Wore me out. Oh my
today
gosh.
drained me.
No,
Okay,
yeah, that's definitely
so
one of these.
I know we're gonna talk about TV shows, but we can save that for the end.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
your TV show mention. But
Mhm.
those are all the ones I had. Were there any more
Um,
that you?
Yeah, there were a couple like honorable mentions that I came up with after the fact. The Menu
Still
that
haven't
recently
seen
came out
that.
is very good. It's another like mystery. Like the whole time you're trying to figure out like what the larger thing behind it is. And since people haven't seen it yet, it's still relatively new. I won't spoil it.
Someone said, I'm not trying to get demeaned, and I was like, they used it as an adjective. I was like, I feel like I know where this is going.
Again, we won't
we
give
won't talk
any
about
spoilers and stuff like that, but it's very good, like, kind of movie, and it's
crazy.
really, I think this movie, the true message of it is don't date men named Tyler, and that's all I'll say about that.
She said,
Again, I mentioned Don't Worry, Darling briefly, just because I think it could have been a good weird movie, and instead is
that's
just
one
not.
of those that I feel like when you talk about in our movies that made us mad.
Yeah.
Because of the ending. Because it had such potential to be so good, but they rushed the ending.
Yeah, they did. I think they wanted to make a weird, bizarre, kind of trippy movie where it is like we're trying to figure it out along.
And it had the potential.
But they didn't know how to do it, so it just ended up.
They
didn't know how to do it, so it just ended up kind of a mess. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a future episode probably. Coraline.
I love Coraline.
Another one that scarred me as a child.
In
the other mother,
way.
all
in
that
the
stuff.
Best way.
We shouldn't have been watching those movies. Looking back on them, like it
It's
kind of explaining a lot.
Oh,
the
it's
more
so
we go
good.
through this.
Yeah.
I love Coraline.
I
It's
do
very
too.
much like different.
It is
It is.
different. It's definitely.
In the best way.
I think weird movies are great because they do stick in your mind like that way, where it's like I haven't seen Coraline in years, but I
me neither.
remember that movie. I don't think I want to see it honestly again. It was so
I've
scary.
watched it a lot.
And then RRR. It's just a trip. There's crazy things going
I feel
on.
like we
in
talk
that
about
movie.
this in every episode.
We talk about it
now.
every episode.
If you
That's
guys
why
haven't seen RRR, go see
it's
it.
on Netflix
now, please.
now. It is long. It's like 3 hours, but
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's worth it. Yeah. So that's the end of my list.
Nice. Those are some good picks.
And I will say, you were half kind of right. He does offer to marry her, and she's like, no.
Oh,
She
yeah,
does
that's what I
tell him
figured.
no.
That's what I
Yeah.
meant. Yeah,
And
he wanted
that's
to
what I'm
marry
talking
her.
about. At that ceremony, yeah, that's why she was like, it probably is a symbol
Why is that
for
like the
something.
only part of the movie I remember?
Hold
that-
on. I hate to say this. That ceremony scene was beautiful.
It was.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh, the
maybe
dress,
that's why I remember.
the costumes, everything. They kind of ate down.
Yeah,
with
no,
that. I'm
I
not gonna
figured because I was
lie.
like, I'm pretty sure it had like a similar ending to Beetlejuice, where it's like we're at the wedding, but something's got to turn so that she doesn't actually get married to him and stuff like that.
Weird.
Yeah,
I remember Beetlejuice. Probably not.
yeah.
haven't
In the
seen
'80s, they loved stories about grown men marrying teenagers.
Anyways, so Day, do we want to move to your list or
We
mine?
can. Whichever. If you want to talk about it.
Okay, I'll go.
You could.
I have a lot on my list, but I'll just make half of them honorable mentions.
Oh.
Number one, though, one of my favorite films of all time is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I watched this film for the first time last night.
I want to
and
know your thoughts and opinions.
I told
Spoilers.
someone, I was like, this movie is like Inside Out and Marriage Story had a baby. It's essentially what I got from it. Because I was
That's so
confused.
interesting.
I was confused for a
It
good
is confusing. You have to watch
bit
it
of
multiple times.
Yeah, because like we start, at first I'm thinking, okay, he's crazy. He's making this girl up. There's no way
Yeah.
that like this is really his girlfriend.
Which
And then I didn't realize that he was inside his own brain for an embarrassing long time.
let me explain the plot really quickly.
Long time.
If you haven't seen Eternal Sunshine, basically it's about this guy who has gone through a breakup. That's like the initial thing. And what you find out basically is that the breakup was so bad that he wanted to go through this process. It's this like new medical process to where you can erase someone from your memory. And so he goes to erase her from his memory, but he doesn't know she did the exact same thing. So they basically both erase each other from each other's memory, but they keep coming back to each other in life. Like they keep finding each other in different ways and like falling in love again, and then they end up breaking up and erasing each other from their memory. And so you kind of see this like, not like the last time, because we don't know if it's gonna be the last time, but like the most recent time of them like meeting each other, falling in love again, and them kind of going through this process of like, I feel like I know you, but like I don't. And like you see all these like this collage of their experiences and their memories like all coming back because he's going through this process of getting her erased from his memory.
Wow.
Yeah.
And oh, it's so good.
I think I definitely want to watch
love
it
it.
again because I think I fell into that trap of trying to figure out what was going on
you
instead of just
can't.
letting it
'Cause
go.
it doesn't really like it's the it's kind of linear, but also not.
Oh no, yeah. That's what I was gonna bring up. I think a lot of these movies have in common, this movie and then Everything Everywhere All at Once, is like non-linear, kind of like sharp editing, where it's like the editing doesn't tell like the traditional narrative story. Like we're kind of jumping all over the place. So in movies like that, it can be hard to like kind of keep track and pay attention. I was doing homework. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was doing homework while watching this, and then at a certain point, I was like, hold on, I gotta.
No, you have to pay attention. You have to
attention.
pay attention. But the coolest thing about A Turtle Sunshine, like in order to kind of keep in track of like what time period, is her hair. Her hair color changes based off of like when the experience happened, and that kind of can help you.
So blue hair, when they met on the train, that was the most recent meeting, like after.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
It's definitely one I want.
I haven't watched it in a while, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely one I want to rewatch because again, I think me trying to solve it ruined the experience a little bit for me. But the ending, I was like, oh.
It's just so good because they're like, this is probably not going to end well, but it doesn't matter because I want to try anyway. And that's what I love the most about it is like, it just feels so real and authentic. They're like these two people who probably shouldn't be together, but
they don't like each other.
It's like they will, no matter what, like they always end up coming back to each other.
Yeah, I think it's
good.
Huh?
Is that a good thing though?
I mean, they love each other.
That's not this episode.
Here's the thing.
We'll come back to this.
I think it's sweet in the message of like you'll always find the person for you, but it is at like a certain point. I'm like, okay, after like the third breakup, like you gotta realize,
especially because it gets to the fact that it got so bad you want to erase them from your memory.
Yeah.
Every time?
I couldn't tell if that was just them being petty.
It gets to the point to where he's like,
not the petty.
He doesn't want, he wants to keep his memories.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I don't know if he was just doing that to be petty. He's like, oh, you erased me, I'm gonna erase you, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, or if like truly it was that traumatic for them.
I think
that
it
you
was
have
like
to.
kind of a you erased me, so I want to erase you.
Yeah.
But then like it's just so sad because like he does get to a point to where he's like trying so desperately to like hold on to his memories of her, and it's just it's so. And there's like a little side love story as well on the outside with the like
the outside stuff.
Doctor.
I was like, I don't need any of this.
Mark Ruffalo's in it too. There's a lot of people in this movie.
Elijah Wood.
Dang.
He's the new boy. No, he's the new boyfriend.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
And then the girl from Spider-Man, MJ. I forget what her name is.
Yeah,
she's on him.
She's got her own little side.
Again,
story.
all of that could have been cut.
With
I'm
a
like,
twist.
I don't care about any of these people.
I love it though. It's so good. If you haven't seen it, it's a weird movie, but it's really good.
I liked it. It was enjoyable.
Yeah,
I liked her.
That's another film that makes me want to make films. Anyways, okay. So, honorable mention. I'm thinking of ending things. I don't want to talk about it though. I can't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
It's one of those. Again, I wish I could scrub my eyes, and I was so confused. But it's weird. And then Bandersnatch, I did want to talk about. Have you guys seen Bandersnatch?
I've seen some Black Mirror, but I have not done Bandersnatch.
So Bandersnatch is like the Black Mirror movie that they made on Netflix, where you get to choose what happens to the main character, which is really fun. Have you seen Bandersnatch, Kamal?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. I don't know if I don't feel like I can say whether it was good or bad because like you choose what happens. But it's an honorable mention that it's weird because obviously it's not like a normal movie, and also because the choices are.
Yeah, I think that's
strange.
what drew me, like, kind of threw me off of it. Is that like I don't want to make choices when I watch a movie.
It's kind of fun though. It's fun. I went through it and I went back and chose every single one so I could see like what would happen. It's very graphic though.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Black Mirror in general is a graphic show.
But it's definitely one that like makes you think. So
yeah,
wanted to mention that, and then I don't want to talk about the movie anymore. Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh my gosh!
This movie came out in the 80s, right?
The 80s were wild.
Like that, yeah.
I don't even. Basically, this.
I don't feel like we should explain it. I really don't.
I think the plot just tells you everything you
need
to know.
Literally the name.
The title.
The name
Basically,
is in the title.
There are these very strange killer clowns that come from outer space.
True.
And
turn the whole entire town
tear up
into
the town.
Balloons?
Yeah. Does anyone survive?
Cotton candy. Cotton candy.
Does anyone?
No. It's literally just like the main character survived. The whole town is still dead.
Who
they
survived?
literally do not save them at the end.
Does that,
the like main two
The
main
blonde
two,
girl?
Yeah,
the
main
girl,
two and like
boy,
the cop.
the cop,
the
and
cop.
don't the
Oh, and
friends
those two
survive?
idiots.
And the
Yeah.
two
Oh,
friends
the two idiots because they were in the ice cream truck.
your friends fighting for your life, and you over there having sexual
With the
intercourse with the
clowns.
clowns. Woo!
Oh my gosh,
The
that
80s
movie is
used to
weird
be
on a million different
tripping.
levels.
The 80s used to
Like,
be tripping. The fact that they turn into cotton candy, and then the fact that like when they're leaving the ship, like it doesn't even cross their mind once. Like, can we turn them back? They just like, let's go. Like that's literally it. Like nobody was like, what? Like nobody like, how you gonna explain this to the police? Like they just go show. They be like.
yeah,
Y'all the
so
only ones
clowns
left?
just like turned the whole town into cotton candy.
I don't know what to
yeah.
tell you, dog. Like
The
it's
big
just,
clown at the end, yeah. That's
Yeah.
not.
They are making a video game for it too.
That's dope.
You know the Friday the 13th game where you
Uh-huh.
like,
Yeah.
try to evade them? It's like that.
That actually
Oh
sounds
my
kinda
So
fun.
you're either the killer
goodness.
clowns or
Guys,
the
we're gonna make a
civilians.
gaming channel.
We're gonna
We'll be
stream
on
from them.
Twitch. Oh my gosh.
Okay, so the next movie, this is also like an older one. This is called They Live, I believe is what it's called. Have you guys seen They Live? Have you seen They Live? Come on.
It sounds familiar.
It's
but
the
I don't
movie
know.
where like basically I guess they're aliens, come to Earth, but they're hiding as regular people, and you can only see them if you have like these like sunglasses on,
Oh.
I believe. And it's weird because the way that they look,
Look it
like
up.
the aliens, and then just the whole like plots. I
They
feel like.
live. You said.
Yeah.
Let's look it up. Aliens.
And then the ending was kind of
I'm a little bit scared.
after
Oh yes.
after I
have
watched
seen
the
this movie.
ending, I was like, huh?
Yes,
like,
I have
okay.
seen
I don't know if
this.
you can see it on
Okay,
my
then.
cam, but
Yeah, that's what they look like. You've probably seen it, even if you haven't seen the movie. Like you've
I
probably
think
seen what they look
so.
like. And
Oh,
you,
that's rough.
but it's
That's
the
real
other
rough.
strange thing. Like it's kind of like underlying, talking about like
like racism.
not racism,
Oh.
but
Okay.
like
Alien
the
movies
underlying
love
message
racism.
and things. So like in advertisements, like I think when they have the sunglasses
Oh.
on, like the advertisements change and stuff as well. So it's like the underlying
Like
hidden
the
messages.
government is run
kinda,
by
like, yeah,
aliens.
something-
Yeah.
Oh,
Literally,
dear.
I
No,
think that's
yeah.
literally what happens
Yeah,
in
if
the
you
movie.
put the sunglasses on and look
Yeah.
at like any advertisement, it just says like obey. or
Yeah.
something like that.
So it's like it's got like an underlying
Someone was
like,
like 1984.
revolutionary meaning. Yeah, so that was crazy. And then I put Warm Bodies on this list.
That movie is so crazy.
It's not that weird, but I feel like it was one of those where I was like, okay, what did I just watch?
Because why are we falling in love with a zombie?
That was
And
my
I fell in love
thing.
with him too.
Out of all of the supernatural creatures we could fall in love
It's a
with.
zombie,
zombie.
which
A
is why it makes it so
zombie.
unique because like you
Yeah,
don't.
in a way that I like.
I love it though because
Sure.
we never get the zombies' perspective usually.
I don't need them. I don't-
Literally,
I
oh,
love it. I love
Wait a
it.
minute.
He's like, oh, maybe I should walk this way. Like it's just, I just love it.
Like,
And then he falls in
no.
love.
Was that Nicholas Holt?
Yeah.
Mm.
And he killed it.
He looks like a zombie, so that makes sense. No. Love you, Nicholas. Why are we acting like he's...
Anyways,
Why
so
are
I
we
just
like
love
this?
that movie, and that was one of my mentions. Okay, and then
Why?
next, I think these are a few more that I don't know if you guys have seen, but Big Fish came out in like the early 2000s.
I think I know this
believe.
Sounds familiar.
This
yeah.
movie is weird because the way that it like the entire thing is, I think the dad telling his son a story, I believe, of like all these
Mhm.
things that he's done in his life, but
Mhm.
it's like completely crazy things. Like he fought this like huge fish or something, and then there's like a giant,
Oh, I've
and
never
like
seen this movie.
all these
actually.
crazy things that happen. But it's so good and it's so sweet, and it's another one of those movies where like it's weird, but the like underlying like emotional message that they're telling is like really sweet.
Yeah.
Because like the son is really annoyed and like, why don't you ever like just be serious? Like why don't you ever whatever?
He's so for real.
Like
That's what he said.
BFFR, but like
oh my god.
it's just a really sweet kind of weird movie. And then A Ghost Story. I did not finish this movie because it was kind of
It's too much.
It was too much. Basically, like the premise of it is this like husband and wife, and the husband, spoiler alert, dies, and he ends up becoming a ghost who lives in the house forever, basically. And we see the wife go through this grief as the ghost, like the husband is like watching it happen,
Okay.
but he just has a sheet over him, like. Like instead of him being like a like holographic ghost or something, Like he's literally just got a sheet.
Just a sheet.
He's just a sheet.
Wait, did she see the sheet?
She can't
see?
Well, does she end up seeing him? I don't know. I didn't finish it. But he's literally like a sheet in the corner.
Oh, that's
a little bit scary.
It is scary. That's why I didn't finish it. But it's like such a
I thought it
unique
was gonna be,
way.
like, silly,
of-
but that's
no,
scary.
it's sad. I thought it was gonna be silly too,
cute.
but it's literally so sad and it's so unsettling.
A little bit scary.
That's scary.
You made it seem
Yeah.
like it was gonna be a cute movie or something. Oh, okay, never mind then. I don't think
Yeah.
I'll be tuning in.
And then I think my last honorable mention. I know everyone dislikes the Series of Unfortunate Events movie, but I love it.
I don't dislike. I like it for what it is. I'll say that. I like it as it stands as a movie. I think it's cute. I like it. The show is so good though. It's so
I
much
haven't
better.
watched the show, but the
Show's
movie
so
is like
good.
very strange and very weird, and Jim Carrey kills it.
Yeah.
And I used to watch that all the time when I was little, and so I just thought it was a nice honorable mention because it's
Dude,
weird.
Yeah. Series of Unfortunate
Very
Events is
weird.
Great. If you have not seen the series on Netflix,
Yeah.
watch it. It's so good. It's so good.
Watch the movie.
Oh,
Yeah, do that too. I
goodness.
guess.
Okay, so that's my. That's
Wow.
mine.
All right, Zach, it's your
Dang.
turn.
I don't know. Mine are kind of.
Oh,
It's gonna
Benjamin Button.
Benjamin Button.
I'm not gonna talk about it, but that's just another weird one.
What's your list?
She keeps singing that song. Is that song like?
It's Benjamin Button. We won't get into this right now.
Okay.
but-
So mine are kind of bad because I picked old movies, like movies I have not watched in a minute. So definitely correct me if I'm wrong. Unqualified, definitely. But the first one I said, and come on, I think you and I talked about this movie once, but Tron Legacy. And let me tell you why. So much happens in Tron Legacy. It feels like, and this is a really bad way to put it, it's like taking drugs almost, like a trip. Like you go back and you think about the plot. You think about the special effects. You think about the colors, and then you think about the music, and it's like, yeah, it's too much at once. It's too much at
I
once.
just remember
for
the first
2 hours.
Tron, and I thought it would look cool because they had like the bikes and
Oh, yeah,
stuff, and the
yeah.
shwee.
I haven't seen it.
Tron, like it's a very cool movie. Like the special effects in it look amazing. Like it's so like essentially, and like let me tell you the plot points, and then you'll get what I'm talking about. So there's a guy. I can't remember if he's like a criminal or not. Like, but I think he steals things or like he races cars or whatever. Okay, he goes to this old arcade shop where his father has one arcade cabinet, and the game is called Tron. And he plays the game because his dad has been missing or he's dead for like 30 years or whatever. He plays the game, gets sucked
I
into
have
the
seen
game,
this. I
gets
feel like
sucked
I've
into
seen
the game.
Ooh, Jumanji.
His first, kind of, but in like a weirder way, like in a more technological way, because it's an actual like arcade game. But so he gets sucked into the game. There's like a little tournament. He's fighting for his life inside this game that he's only ever played like outside. He's in the game. He's fighting for his life. He's racing, fighting. He loses almost because like there's this like big power in the game, but they don't explain who it is. A random robot girl comes and saves him from almost dying, takes him to like a secret hideout, like all the way away. He finds his dad. Dad got sucked into the game. His dad can control like things with his mind within the game
Sounds like a
because he's the
lot.
creator of the game. We're like 30 minutes in. And it's so much like essentially in the end, it turns out that the big bad guy who was almost about to kill him is also another version of his dad. And they're fighting each other. The father tells his son to escape and take the robot girl with him for some reason. He tries to, it doesn't work. Then it does work. And then the father is like, okay, well, I'm going to just kill this whole thing. Shuts down, literally blows up the game with his mind or something. The boy and the girl are in the outside world. Don't they like set the arcade game on fire or something so nobody else can play it? And then they both leave, completely ignoring the fact that like, this girl is not real, mind you, but they're in love or whatever. Like
She was
is
able to
truly,
exist outside of the game.
She was. That's what I'm telling you. And you don't even know what it looks like. Daft Punk does the soundtrack. So that should tell you everything else you need to know about the movie. That soundtrack is amazing. It's phenomenal. But it's electronic music on top of light blue neon and red neon colors. Like that movie is such a trip. Like watching it, it's like very overstimulating, but like in a good way. I love that movie. But I could never watch it in one go again. Like you need water. Like that movie almost makes you want to faint or something. It's so much that happens in that movie.
Is so wild because
something.
I know I watched the first Tron. I would have not have guessed a singular plot.
No,
point
like
there.
that's one of the reasons was like it's a Disney movie or whatever, but a lot of people didn't like the movie because they were like, compared to the first Tron, like this is way too much, and it is. If you compare it back to the first one, it's way too much to try and understand that. They jammed them 2 hours, boy. They jammed it.
They said plot, 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 plot.
Honestly, there's so much that happens in that movie. Like, even just a little bit of backstory you get is very overstimulating, too, because, like, he's racing for his life. That's what I'm saying. I think he's, like, running from the cops or something. And it's just so
That's
weird.
a lot.
It's so weird. It's so weird. But I love that movie. I'm so sorry. I love that
That's
movie.
a lot.
I love that movie. Come on, have you seen that movie? Have you seen Tron Legacy?
Yeah, I have, but I don't remember a single detail.
That's what I'm
You just
saying.
explained
Like,
I
It's
feel like
a
I've watched it now.
trip.
You just explained it.
it's a
That's
trip.
right. I now have to watch
I
it.
skipped like the whole middle part of that movie too.
Ooh.
That's what I'm telling you. Like,
But the weirdest
So
part of it
much.
is like, I'm thinking back to the movie, and it's like there's no set.
that's
It's
really
just,
not
like, the neon
Yeah.
two-dimensional plane the
neon.
entire time.
When I tell you there is not one dim scene in this movie because it's all neon. They wear like black suits, neon stripes going down. Like, that movie is so bright. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's so overstimulating just because the music, the lights, the clothing, just everything that
mean,
happens in it is
It
like.
looks like Daft Punk made the movie.
Yeah,
That's what
it
I'm
looks
saying.
like if Daft Punk was an aesthetic, that's what I think.
That
of,
is
like,
literally
Tron
what it
Legacy.
is, and that's Daft Punk even makes like a cameo in the movie. They're literally DJs.
This is
They
just
make.
promotion for Daft Punk.
Yeah.
I
it's
love
just
Daft Punk. I'm so
Punk
sorry.
commercial.
I just said that real quick. I love Daft Punk, but like I love that soundtrack just because they made it. But like it's so much. It's so much. I won't go any more into it. You literally just have to see the movie because of how much goes on. That's one of them. The second one I said is Sucker Punch. This is the one I
Haven't seen
don't
this.
really remember that much. Honestly, I just remember being like,
I've heard of it for sure.
yeah, okay. I got done and I was like, I was a little girl when I watched. This was back when FX used to make every single blockbuster movie like come on their like
Yeah.
channel or whatever.
Mhm.
So you just be watching FX all day. And
Let me look
this
up
is one of
what
the
it
movies that came
looks
up.
like.
I want to say something, but I'm not going to say it. But like watching that movie, it's almost a musical. I think like they literally sing in they sing. It's an action movie. Like the girls are like ballerinas, and then they're like, you gotta go
I've
fight.
never even heard of this.
Yeah, it's a very. The plot of it is weird.
It looks very like cults classic.
Even Charlie's
Kinda.
Angels a little.
Or like
bit.
it would have a cult
Well,
following.
It does because back then the movie was like booed out the building. Like people were like, this movie sucks. And then but now it's like it's gotten a little bit more appreciation just for like the elements inside of the movie. Like that's what I'm saying. I watched this movie a long time ago and I still remember that it was weird. Like, but in a good way, I guess. It definitely feels like there was a lot of thoughts that got jumbled up into one, and they were like, okay, well, it works. So
That's
we'll
what
see,
a lot
we'll see on
of
set.
weird movies give. Like, we're just gonna take all the thoughts that I've ever had, stir it in a pot, and make a movie.
make
And
a
sometimes
movie.
it works.
And sometimes it
works.
doesn't.
Sometimes it doesn't. I
Literally
like
just
this
rolling
movie.
the dice.
Honestly,
Mhm.
I like this movie. I'm a little bit sad it's not on streaming, like any streaming service.
It says
like,
it's
I'm
on
not paying.
Prime here.
Oh
Or
really?
maybe it's lying.
Or I think it's
You
like
might
you
have
gotta
to buy
pay
it.
for it. Yeah.
Probably gotta buy it.
But yeah, that was
That's something.
one of them.
Sucker Punch. That's a good
Um,
name for a movie. Sucker Punch.
It's exactly like it's an action movie. They sing, they dance.
That's kind of camp.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at
that's
that.
the word I'm looking for. It. Yeah, sure.
I feel like a lot of these movies could be
Yeah.
described as camp.
I don't know why you watch this movie. Sorry to bother
I'm ready to
you.
talk about it though. Okay.
Spoiler.
Let's
Honestly,
get my popcorn.
oh dear, I don't even know how to
This
explain
movie
this
came
movie.
out a few years ago,
It did?
2019 maybe.
It has the
I
love of my
believe.
life in it, Lakeith Stanfield.
It does. Ooh, I don't even know what to say honestly about this movie. Like, it's weird all the way through, but you don't know what's
Not
weird
even
about it
like
in the front beginning.
yeah, the first half like it starts off like something you would not expect it to take the turn that
Right.
it would.
But even then, you go back and you look at like the way things are shot or the way things are conveyed.
There's
and
a lot
it's
of
like,
stuff in the background.
Yeah,
I love
that's what it's
they did
subtle.
so
It's subtle,
well,
and
so
that's what I
well.
like about that movie because, like, I guess if you paid like too much attention, you might have noticed it early on. Like something about this is kind of funky, but like you don't.
I mean, you know,
get
you
it.
kind of know from the beginning that something's a little off,
right? Just
but
the
you
way the
don't know
characters
what
act.
it is.
Like, and this movie kind of deals with kind of like what you were talking about with like Hollywood and like self like the way people exploit themselves for
Yeah.
Hollywood, and how
And
Hollywood
not-
exploits people. But
it's not even, I wouldn't say Hollywood
Right, but
necessarily,
it's
but
kinda
like,
like-
corporate America.
right,
Mhm.
like
Very much like
you gotta sell
the
yourself
corporate
out.
ladder
Mhm.
and
Literally, at one point of this, there's two black people who are the main characters. Their voices switch
they
to
talk
their
in white voice. But it's literally a white person
it's-
talking.
The dub, if you go and look at like the sub of it, it literally says white voice.
Oh,
And
It's
that's
white
so
voice,
cool.
yeah.
the lady who's the main lady, her voice becomes what's her name?
I recognized her voice, but I didn't
She's
know which one.
Cinderella, who plays the live action Cinderella. She's the
Yeah.
one who voices her.
The
It's
girlfriend.
such a
It's
the girlfriend,
yeah.
and it's like.
Or fiance.
Yeah, but essentially, like the whole point of the movie is kind of like selling yourself out to become the best, and like what are the consequences of
Yeah,
that?
specifically
of being,
like as a person of color and
right,
having to
exactly.
like he didn't achieve success or like climb up the corporate ladder until he put on his white voice.
right,
And then there's this scene where he's at this party for like the CEO of like this entire company, I think it's CEO, whatever, invites him to this party, and it's like all white people, and they're like, rap for us, like rap for us. We know
Literally,
that you can
they
rap.
do.
And
They
they're like,
do.
rap, and he's like no, and they're like, take off the white voice, like you can, and then
He literally just
he literally
says
starts saying the N word.
over and over,
And the
they
white
eat it
people are
up.
like tearing
They eat
back
it
at him
up.
saying
They
it.
eat it up, and that's what I'm saying.
And
Oh,
Like,
that's so
it's so
funny.
symbolic
It
of
is.
like
If
just
you've
being
ever been
black.
to any rap artist ever concert, you're gonna. That's just what
that,
it is.
and
That's
also
what
like
it is.
it's very symbolic of being like a black person in corporate America
Right.
and how like in a lot of these work environments you have to appease
Mhm.
a
Right.
certain demographic in
Yes.
order to get ahead, which is so cool, and they represent it in a
is.
really interesting way. But then it just takes like a really
but like
weird
I
turn.
get it, because like it's talking about the consequences of doing that. Like you see the way he gets treated too. Like there's like a whole like scene of this where like it talks about the Pepsi commercial with like what's her
Mhm.
name?
Kendall
The-
Jenner.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he literally like gets hit by like a Coke can,
Yeah.
and that becomes like the reason why he has that bandage around his head or
and
whatever.
he like goes viral because
Right,
of
and he
it.
goes viral. It's all this stuff, and like the TV show, the TV's only played like 3 channels, and like each time he clicks, he like sees himself or something. It's like,
Very trippy.
yeah, I think it talks about the consequences of also selling yourself out, and like why sometimes
Crossing
doing
the
that-
picket line.
yeah,
Is
doing
that what it's
that.
called? Yeah.
I think so.
Picket fence, something
Picket
like that.
fence.
Yeah.
Crossing.
Doing that to become like a big name and become successful, especially when you're black, is sometimes like the worst thing you can do, because
Yeah.
you always end up in a situation you don't want to be
Yeah.
in.
And also like his girlfriend and his friends are like
They
fighting
trade
so
on
hard for
him.
like
yeah,
like fair pay basically because
Right.
the like company treats them terribly. And he's just like, well, I gotta like support me and like my family, and so he kind of like negates that and like
It's
tries to climb up. But then there's some extremely
I don't want to
weird
talk about the ending.
consequences.
I don't want to talk about the ending because I want you. If you see this movie, I don't want you
No,
to
I
know
don't
what happens at the
Okay.
end.
I don't even want to say it.
Right, because
Okay.
I want you
I'ma
to
watch
see it for
Mhm.
yourself.
I'm gonna watch it.
I
I
want you
will
to see
just
it for
say like
yourself.
if you're gonna watch
Woo.
this,
Brace yourself.
there's some things you might want to unsee,
Right.
and that's all I'll say. Because I wish I could scrub my
Excited.
eyes out
I'm
after watching the
excited.
end.
There
I
are a couple of uncomfortable scenes. I will
Very
say that.
uncomfortable
so
and nasty and unsettling.
Prepare yourself. I should watch that for a class. Keep in mind.
That's so
mind you.
interesting because like what you guys have described this for, I'm like, okay, that's
No,
I mean
we're
it's
not.
like social commentary, but like nothing too.
We haven't said the
We
weird
haven't said
parts
the weird
of the
part.
movie.
We can't
That's-
say the weird
I'm
part.
not gonna say the weird parts of the movie because that
I
that is
could
what
just
makes
see it
the
in my
movie
head.
so weird. If that makes sense, like
Mhm.
there's subtle things in like the normal parts of the movie that are kind of like, oh well, I didn't see that coming, but the weird parts of this movie is what
It's
makes
just
it
like-
weird.
A creature, and that's all I'm gonna say.
We go
Okay, I'm gonna
leave
just
it at
hold up
that.
there. Just hold it off on that.
It's a creature. Yeah. Anyways, moving on, please.
So some honorable mentions that I have. So number one, I want to say Annihilation. I saw that movie and was like, okay.
That's the one with what's her name?
Natalie Portman.
Yeah.
And
I
she's
don't
like
remember
in
what it's
this.
about.
I haven't seen that.
I don't know. I had to take a science fiction class, mind you. So like, most of all of mine are like science fiction movies, just because of like how weird. A lot of science fiction stuff is just weird. That's just the whole point of this. But Yeah, I'll let y'all do with that what you will. If you want to watch the movie, I mean, yeah, do that. I'm not gonna explain it because the movie actually does a kind of good job of like explaining what happens. So I'm gonna just let that sit. Let that sit.
Let it go. Give it to God.
And I don't know if this is a weird movie, but maybe the way I remember it is weird. I don't know what that says about me, but V for Vendetta. I
still haven't seen that.
loved that movie. I definitely, and like it makes sense. There are a couple parts of it that are weird, and it's based off of like a comic book or whatever. Have you
Yeah.
seen this movie, Kamal? V for
Yeah, I
Vendetta.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a little bit of parts in there where it's like,
Yeah, it's essentially,
Hey.
you know, about like the government.
right,
and
overthrowing government, and
anarchy
yeah.
type stuff.
Yeah.
They got a bunch
I
of
really
good quotes in
enjoyed
that
it
movie.
too,
I ain't even gonna lie. What he said, he was like, the government, the people shouldn't fear the government should fear the people.
Doesn't it have like that long monologue about like where like the alphabet and they go through and like what was it? I haven't seen this movie in a long time, but I'm pretty sure it's like a monologue where they're like there's like wordplay with the alphabet and all that stuff. I could be making this
There
up
might-
completely,
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
but
There might
I
be.
think so.
The main character is very like long winded. He says big words. He
Mhm.
never says the short version of the words. So that might be where I think there is a part where like maybe the cars are falling where he does say something like that. But
That's one I have to rewatch because again it's been a minute, but
it
it's
has
like
been a minute.
one of the like film bro kind of movies. I feel like where people
I
are like yeah, V for Vendetta.
It's become like that.
Yeah.
It has.
Because a
When
lot of
I
people
watched
use
it, it
to,
wasn't.
like justify a lot of their political opinions.
Yeah.
Because it
Mhm.
is a very open thing, so you
Mhm.
can kind of interpret his actions
Have
for
you
like
want,
either
yeah.
spectrum of the like.
Okay.
political field.
Right, because it's like he does go and kill like half the government people who would like put him in those like put everybody they consider weird in those camps, which is why I don't understand how people can interpret it that way because he literally the main character is literally like a victim of like what the government does to people they consider weird and how they overthrow them. Like they were literally doing experiments on his body and he went and got revenge on those people for doing that to him. Like I'm like, I don't know what connection you can make from that. But
We love a good experiment because that's.
you do? On people?
I mean, no, not. I meant
Yeah.
It doesn't
I
matter.
get what you mean. I get
in
what
the
you mean.
movie because that's what happens a little bit in
Yeah.
our previous film that we were just talking about.
Yeah. That's not but yeah, I remember that movie being weird, kinda weird. There are some elements of it that are weird. But I enjoyed the movie. That's all I'm gonna say, because everything else I'm gonna say, I'm gonna get weird if I say what I really wanted to say. So let's go on to the next. Are we talking about TV shows?
Well, before we get to that, I wanted to see if Kamal had any
Oh yes,
any
any
weird movies.
you
I
like?
don't have many,
Mm.
but one of the ones I was thinking I talked about this before, The Bubble on Netflix.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Which was not a great movie by any means.
Oh, I
an
do remember.
attempt to make a movie about the quarantine during the quarantine
They did.
Oh
by being meta about it,
no. Oh no.
and they went way too far.
Oh no.
So it's just like about a cast trying to film a movie during the quarantine, so they all have to be in a bubble of a hotel while they film this movie.
Can I just say I hate pandemic movies. Anytime a movie or a show is like, and this almost happened with Glass Onion, but I think they did it in a way that's okay. Anytime a movie or a show brings up like the pandemic or COVID or anything like that, or tries to deal with it, I immediately turn my brain off. I'm like, stop, expeditiously.
Are there
They don't
that
handle it
many?
well. There are a couple.
There's a good couple.
It's a lot more common in TV shows.
Yeah.
'Cause a lot of the TV shows had to deal
Had
with
to
it.
do
it. Yeah.
They had to build it into their stories.
If you watch any doctor show, just know there's gonna be some.
Oh, yeah,
episodes
they
about
used it.
COVID.
They used it.
Oh my
But,
gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that one was weird. It has like Michael Keegan in it. It's got Pedro Pascal,
Mm.
Daisy Ridley. All these
I'm gonna have to give that a
stars.
look. I'm gonna have to give that a looky look.
But I like Pedro Pascal. What's the problem?
Karen Gillan's in it. There's a whole bunch.
Oh wow.
But like, it's just not good.
No, it sounds awful.
And it's like they tried to know it wasn't good, but that made it worse.
Yeah, don't do that.
But
Just make-
then the other one that I just remembered out of nowhere was How to Eat Fried Worms.
Yep, I remember this movie vividly as a child.
I've never heard of
It
that.
is so wild.
Yeah. It's like this kid's getting bullied,
Mhm.
and like they
That's
threaten
not
to beat
funny.
him up or something unless he eats like 10 worms
Yep.
in the day. So it's like the whole movie, him and his friends are like trying to figure out different ways
To eat worms.
worms.
Mhm.
Why my husband in this movie?
Luke Benward.
Oh my god.
That's the first movie I've ever seen him in. Yeah, it's wild because they put it in they fry it, they put it in the microwave, they blend it at some point. There's a lot of things.
Why did he just tell his parents?
A whole movie.
Oh no, you're gonna beat me up. You're gonna beat me up.
Oh, the main thing I remember from this movie is that his little brother hated him, and so there was just a moment where he's hanging out with this girl. He's just like, "I wish my older brother was dead." So I'm like, what is
Okay.
happening? This is a movie for children.
It was a book. It
Yeah.
was a kid's book at first.
And they made it into a movie with an
Dear,
actress
dear,
in it
dear.
too. Yeah,
Okay,
that's like wow. You just unlocked a memory for me. Come on,
Yeah.
that's so wild.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but that's about all I have.
Cartoon Network movies, period. If they were animated and it was showing on Cartoon Network and
Oh,
it was
yeah.
a movie, it was probably weird.
Cartoon
Hoodwinked.
Network's got some crazy stuff.
Oh, I
going
forgot
on
about
over there.
Hoodwinked.
What's that other one with the Scary House or something?
Oh, Monster
Monster
House.
Monster
Oh, I
House.
love Monster House.
The Halloween one with the vampire parents,
Oh,
the
the
vampire
scary
family.
godmother.
Yes, there's just so many. Now that is one. Those movies are definitely just do whatever you want to. I mean, we got the rights to it, so just make some up.
Just
Oh
do
my
it. Yeah, I think a lot of early 2000s kids movies were
little bit weird.
strange. I remember How to Eat Fried Worms.
That's weird.
There's another
Very
one.
weird.
What's that movie with Josh Hutcherson and he's
Where's this-
Oh.
no,
It's
the other one. The other one where he's playing
I
games
know what you're talking
with his
about.
brother. Oh, what is it called?
Do they go to outer space?
Yeah.
Zora.
Yes, Zathura. Is it? Is that how you say
Actually, no, I haven't seen that.
It's something like that.
Zathura.
Zathura.
Yeah. Something like
I
that,
remember
yeah.
that movie.
I know this is Z.
There's a Z for sure. That movie
Oh,
is
they were
also
so
wild.
goofy back then. What were they doing? Why were they showing children this?
Have y'all seen the movie Hotel for Dogs?
Yes. I like that movie. So
It's kind of good.
it's kind of.
It's kind of good. There's no reason for
dear.
that movie to exist, but it's kind of good.
Like I said, they just used to grab child stars. They'd be like,
Mhm.
"We're gonna make this movie. We don't know what to tell you. You're gonna make this movie, though." Yeah, that
Yeah.
was
There
a
was-
little bit weird.
Sorry, I was trying to find the name of this movie, but I can't find it. I saw it at the SCAD Film Festival in 2022, and it was another one of those pandemic movies that you guys were talking about. It's kind of a short film, where this group of teenagers have this YouTube channel, and they're like, oh, we need to make another video so we can kind of go viral because we're going down in views.
dear.
Us.
And
Stop.
there's this new game that comes out. It's this VR game where you can it's like a scavenger hunt kind of in the VR game, but there's someone hunting after you in the
Oh.
game.
That reminds me of what's that movie, Nerve? Where
Kind
it
of.
was
That's another weird movie.
Yeah.
That movie was that was crazy.
Mhm.
But basically they go into the forest to play this game, and they find that it's not just VR. There's literally someone that is
You
killing
die in
people.
the game. You die in
You
real life.
die in real life.
Mm.
And it is so unsettling. If I remember what it's called, I'll let you guys know.
Oh,
But
shout out to the short films. Out
Yeah.
there doing it.
so I guess we can talk about TV shows and then wrap it up. So we all have one-ish
I have two because I just
Okay.
thought of one. That's
weird
right.
TV shows.
Okay.
So who wants to go first?
I can go first. Yeah, I'll bring up the one I just thought of because it's been so long since I've seen it, and I only remember the basic premise. But there was a show on Netflix called The Sparkle Mystery. It was
I
a
haven't heard of
British
that.
show. No one's heard of this show except for me and my brother. I promise you. It was a British show
That British show.
where
They do
essentially,
be wildin'.
yeah, it
I
was
love a good British
like
show.
a Lord of the Flies kind of thing, but it was one day for some reason everyone over the age of 16, it's either 16 or 18, doesn't matter, disappears. They're gone. They're just you can no longer see them anymore. And so the beginning of the show is wild because you just see babies in cars by themselves and it's crazy. So essentially these kids have to create gangs together to survive without
That
the
sounds kind of
adults in the
familiar.
world.
But
They did a different version of it called The Society on Netflix. That's
Oh,
much
okay.
better.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
But the Sparkle Mystery is wild because they spend this whole show trying to figure out how to get the parents back. But it turns out they were never gone. They were just invisible, on a different dimension. Yeah, of
That's
plane of
weird.
existence. There's a lot
Imagine being
going
the
on.
parent and watching your kid like kill another kid. Like in this
Literally,
gang
they
or
were like
something.
in gangs killing each other.
I'm
and that's
like-
And you're literally just standing there like,
I'm like, girl, when I get back to you,
when I
I'm
get
gonna
off
whoop
this plane,
your butt. Yes. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
back in your dimension.
So that one again, that's a show that only me and my little brother have seen. I swear to God, it's wild. And then the other show I wanted to bring up was Atlanta. So good. I
So
want to
good.
talk about an episode in particular, if I can remember the name of it. Give me 1 second.
What happens in it?
They Darius, who is played by Lakeith Stanfield, sorry, Darius, who's played by Lakeith Stanfield, he goes to buy a piano from this dude, and he thinks it's like a completely normal thing. Atlanta as a show, is like it presents itself as being very normal, like run of the mill, but then when you
It's
actually
very
get
much not.
into it, there's some crazy stuff happening. But yeah, he goes to buy this piano from this guy, and he gets to him, and first of all, this man's face, I wish I could remember his name because I want to show the picture. Teddy Perkins, yes. First of all, this man looks like this. Hold on.
If you're listening on your phone and you're not watching on YouTube, just look it up,
Yeah.
please.
Teddy Perkins. This man looks like this. So first of all, he's like very taken aback because what's going on there.
Mhm.
And basically, he spends the whole episode inside of this rich man's mansion trying to get this piano, but this man is not letting him leave. He keeps giving him like backstories about his dad and his brother and all that stuff. And it ends with Darius killing the brother and the man and just taking the piano. And we
I don't think I've
never
seen this episode.
we never mention this episode ever again. It never comes up. Like it's like
I
it
love
almost,
when that happens in Atlanta.
Atlanta
They
does
just
that
pretend
all
that
the
nothing
time.
happened.
Literally, they'll do the most wild, out of pocket stuff and never bring it up again.
Lord
Just
have
never address it. And I think Teddy Perkins is the biggest example of that because that entire episode happens, and it's like, what the hell did I just see? But we never. It's
It's just never addressed.
never addressed. And maybe because it's Darius and he's a little dumb. But I'm like, I feel like I would talk about that occasionally.
Yeah.
me,
Like,
yeah.
hey, remember when?
Remember when I killed that man over his piano?
So that happened.
Yeah, but Atlanta's a great show. If you haven't seen
Yeah.
it, go
A
watch
very good
it.
weird show.
Very good real show. Very surreal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My show that I wanted to mention is Legion. Have you guys seen Legion?
I've seen Legion, yes.
The reason why I say this is weird is because it makes no sense to me. It just was so confusing. I loved it.
I didn't finish it.
I didn't finish it either, but it was a really good show.
Mm-hmm.
But it, like, every episode I was like, what was that? Especially that creepy weird man. You know what I'm talking about? He's like egg shaped and he'd be like hiding in the corners and it was so scary.
Literally, that show, it's a superhero show.
Yeah, but
It's
more-
not.
cuz he's like he sees a lot of things that are not.
He's got mind powers.
Yeah.
He's
And so-
related to Charles Xavier.
Yeah. It's an X-Men kind of like shit off. Yeah.
And it is
Okay.
just something. It is yeah.
Yeah. I
Hey.
don't remember. Is Aubrey Plaza? in
Yeah,
that show?
Aubrey
Yeah.
Plaza's in
Mhm.
there. I just, oh my gosh, that creepy man,
I wish I
creepy
finished
huge man from Legion.
it. Creepy.
Look him
huge
up
man
and see what he
from
looks
Legion.
like.
Yeah, Legion's
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, anyway, stay. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
I don't
It's-
know if you can see that.
You're this one.
I don't know why I did that. I don't know if you can see that, but
Yeah, he's
yeah. Good job with the
the makeup is very
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Okay.
whoever did
It is-
that.
It's just
Because that man
unsettling.
is terrifying.
He looks like a thumb.
All right, Day.
So keeping off with that, and this show
Ooh, and
really
Bates
isn't.
Motel.
Yeah, no. Let's leave that. Let's leave that where it's
I
at.
just
We
thought
said
about
we
that.
want to talk about no
I just
cannibal
thought
movies.
I'm sorry.
No weird movies. No nothing.
Stop doing
movies.
cannibalism. in
Please.
movies.
Yeah,
We
I
shouldn't
was
have to
I was
say
gonna
this.
talk about Fresh, but we don't
Mm-mm.
we don't have to talk
We
about it.
shouldn't even have to have this discussion of like stop with the cannibal stuff, but like that's a whole other thing in and of itself.
That's the
So-
title of this episode.
Stop with the cannibal stuff.
Oh my gosh. So I said WandaVision, and not because of what I found weird about WandaVision, especially when I watched it the first time. I watched it after it had came out, and like everybody was raving about it and everything. I had to avoid them spoilers like a Oh boy, I was in there like the Flash. Oh my gosh, I was running for my life. But what I'll say is weird. I like the formal elements of WandaVision because like when the aspect ratio changes, the subtle things in WandaVision are what makes a good show. And like if you don't know anything else, like you had never known like Vision or Wanda up until that point, and you were just looking at WandaVision, nothing else.
I think it still works.
It works because of how weird it is.
It's a very good standalone.
Even in the first episode where that lady is chuckling and they're all just watching her like this.
Stop it!
But then like once you like know what happens and you like
go back like
so good.
Oh my gosh, like even like the fact that the first episode ends with like somebody and you don't know who literally looking at a television screen and just walking away, like something about that is just so weird, but in like such a good way.
It's
and
another great example of like the mystery slowly unraveling
with the character,
and it's so great.
So well done.
I love WandaVision even if there was no prior backstory. I feel like I could watch a whole show.
Yeah,
I get
an
an
idea for a show.
It
like,
really is.
Watch it now.
Like even if it's just like WandaVision, like if the exact same things happen in that show, but like longer or whatever, even if it was like a movie, I would love that so much because like even without the backstory, that it works.
It works.
So good.
Like when she sees like them dead or something, and she's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. It's such a good like just creative idea to tell this story through like the different eras of sitcoms and use that language. And I love sitcoms; they're one of my favorite types of TV shows too. So like the fact that it connects to her backstory though, of being like, I like that. Problems are solved in one episode and nothing lasts too long and everything's light and fun, and connecting that to her trauma and making it all come full circle is
good.
One of the best TV series ever.
Honestly,
honestly.
I love WandaVision.
People who are dumb were like, when the first 3 episodes dropped, they're like, "Hey, it's boring. Why are we watching this?
I don't know what's going on." Yeah.
Sit down. Watch the show.
And
like, I apologize that you have bad taste.
Right. Like, not all of us can have taste.
The last episodes happen, like, and I like how, and I'm not sure if Wanda always knew, but when she did find out, like, oh, I made all this up, like, she literally did not care. She was like, well, she's like, it is what it is.
I like that she knew that this was not real. Like, this was a constructed reality, but she didn't know the harm that the people were in, like, and the pain that they were going through.
She was like,
and that scene in the last episode where like they're all begging her to like let them go is chilling. I'm like, damn, WandaVision's the best thing Marvel's ever put out. I'm sorry, I don't
so
like
good.
so
good. WandaVision. I love.
I love it so much.
Vision used to be out there spitting them facts at her, and she get mad. When she's, I will. This is one of my favorite lines in any Marvel thing ever. And when he goes, "You can't control me like you controlled them," and she's like, "Can't I?" And she went like the credit roll. That is so bad. That is so bad. Whoever wrote that, give them all the money that's in the bank. Like that ate so bad. I remember watching that and being like, oh,
it's so good because it's using what you have. It's using, okay, we have this concept of we're in a TV show. Like, it is a TV show. So using elements of TV shows to tell your story, it's good writing. It's very good.
The writing for that show is incredible. Like, one of my favorite lines is when they start talking about, like, the grief line. I don't know, like, bar for bar, word for word.
Love is grief preserving?
What is grief?
What is grief if not love persevering?
Yeah.
That line alone,
it ate. Vision used to be spinning them facts real bad.
Because that like completely shuts down the fact like when people are like, oh, like superhero movies and stuff like aren't whatever, you know, like
they aren't
cinema. So much more than that. Like WandaVision just showed that it can be about grief, it can be about love, it can be about family, and like. Bye.
So good.
I'm gonna go rewatch WandaVision.
Honestly, I love WandaVision.
That's the conclusion of this entire episode. It's just like,
I love WandaVision. Oh
yes,
my god.
WandaVision, everything everywhere all at once. Loves of my life.
Oh my goodness, I love
We're
WandaVision.
sandwiching.
And I think the man who wrote WandaVision is also writing Blade.
I think so. Matt Shack. No, he directed it. No,
Or
it's a woman who wrote WandaVision.
Somebody who worked in WandaVision is doing something with Blade. I can't remember if it's the director or if it's the writer, but they're doing something with Blade. So I'm hoping that it has those weird elements too, but like in a whole different way. I'm excited for Blade now that they done got their act together.
They got it together.
And yeah, that's it for me.
Well,
see Ant-Man.
I just thought about another weird TV show, but I think I want to end it with WandaVision.
Yeah,
WandaVision.
I don't know if we can
Definitely
talk
a good place to
about
I was going to talk about Riverdale.
No, we can't end
No,
with Riverdale.
let's end with WandaVision. Let's end on the high note.
I'm sorry, I
WandaVision,
just saw
love you.
I just saw a clip from Riverdale the other day, and
Another show where like ideas got thrown in a bag and
It's
just
starting to turn into, like,
musical episodes.
I was just about to say that.
why
It
is
was
she
a
a
musical.
witch? Just a weird.
Why?
Why is there an
Just why?
apocalypse? Like what's going on?
Just why?
See, that's the good weird movies are when they like do a lot of things, but they do it well, and then the bad ones are when they do too much.
Too much. I think
And
it
they
comes
don't
down
do it
to and not what? I think it comes down to sorry, I just had a load real quick. Comes down to the writing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like if it's a well written like weird mystery kind of thing, I think it eats. It's gonna pay
Yeah.
off every time. But if you don't know what you're doing,
Yeah, because even if you're trying to do a lot, you still need to make sure that the flow of the story
it
is
has to have a theme beneath it,
Yeah.
kind of
something
supporting it.
something
Yes.
there. Because
You
if
gotta have
not,
a base. Then you're just doing a bunch of shit, and then
and
it
then it's
doesn't
just
make
weird
sense.
and
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
So,
The real-
anyways, those are our weird movies and some TV shows. We hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any honorable mentions, let us know in the YouTube comments or the Instagram comments. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for supporting, and we will see you guys next week.
Adios.